Coming up on DITV News, the search is on for a missing Iowa City girl.
And later, I'll show you how one UI researcher tries to cure blindness.
And one of our reporters breaks down the Iowa baseball team's music taste.
Maybe a little rain on our parade will be refreshing. Stay tuned for more on weather.
All that and more coming up on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News.
Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in to DITV News. I'm Ethan Gutstein.
And I'm Kaylin Cluck. We come to you live this Thursday morning with breaking news. Iowa City Police are searching for a missing 10-year-old girl. Sarah Flournoy ran from her home located on the western side of Iowa City. She was last seen running behind the Come and Go on Mormon Trek Boulevard. Sarah is 4 feet 2 inches tall and weighs about 100 pounds. She was last seen wearing a white shirt and red pants. If you have any information regarding Sarah's whereabouts, please call 911.
32 men were arrested in Mount Pleasant, Iowa for administrative immigration violations yesterday. In a statement, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement said the men arrested were from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico. The ICE says that the arrested men will remain in custody until their removal proceedings decide whether or not they are allowed to stay in the United States.
The non-tenured faculty sit-in has ended as President Harold and other administrators have agreed to set up a meeting. The sit-in was a faculty-forward protest, fighting for demands including better pay, health insurance, and retirement methods. The sit-in started at 10 a.m. yesterday, and it didn't end until about 12 hours later, when a UI administration official agreed to set up a meeting. The administrators agreed in writing to hold the meeting sometime before next Wednesday, May 16th. They also agreed to take specific and concrete actions. With this information, non-tenured faculty ended the sit-in, but they're ready to hold the university accountable to the commitments it makes.
Following the passing of the fetal heartbeat bill, the UI Obstetrics and Gynecology Department may move its residency program across state borders. The law's restriction on abortions eliminates the ability of the UI program to meet the training requirements it needs to stay afloat. The new residency would partner with an out-of-state clinic, most likely in Illinois. University of Iowa student Zoe Waters, who is an advocate for reproductive rights, said, quote, "I think it's important to have a program like that. It's a lot of money and it's a lot of investment, but it's going to be so beneficial for students," end quote. The move would cost the university about $900,000.
Finding a cure for blindness might be a daunting task, but scientists at the University of Iowa are taking it on anyway. I visited the lab of one researcher to find out how her small steps could mean big breakthroughs are in sight.
Hunting for clues to help cure blindness is a big job with some very small details. Sheila Baker is an assistant professor of biochemistry at the University of Iowa. There are thousands of genes and proteins in the eye, and Baker's lab has put years of research into uncovering the secrets of one protein, called HCN1.
We're trying to understand how can you control that protein because it's controlling the timing of photoreceptor cells.
Here at the Baker lab, they use microscopic colored images to study these two photoreceptor cells, trying to figure out what causes them to malfunction and cause blindness.
You can respond to a flash of light, and then you have to turn the response off, and you have to respond to the next flash of light, and back and forth, back and forth. And if you can't do that fast enough, your system just gets overwhelmed.
By looking at the retinas of mice and frogs, Baker has learned what keeps HCN1 in the right place in the cell. And now the lab is discovering how to control the protein.
So if we can understand all of the different jobs that these proteins play, we have the tools in place then to go in and attack them when they go wrong.
There are hundreds of different types of blindness, and so far there's only a cure for one. But Baker is hoping that eventually her research will unlock the cure for another.
I think in the next 10 years we're going to see a handful of additional cures for blindness, but I don't know for sure how many.
Hopefully as many as possible.
The Baker Lab said they hope to someday help patients at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics with their findings.
For all those who are moving out of the dorms, you might want to wait before you throw out supplies you don't need anymore. The University of Iowa has a program that can put those items in good use instead of the garbage can. Donate, Don't Dump is back for the 9th year at UI residence halls. Burge, Hillcrest, and Mayflower residence halls have bins and donation trucks set up where students can drop off items such as clothing, furniture, and non-perishable foods. This program aims to cut landfill waste while benefiting local agencies.
Placing some of these materials and items at Goodwill and Crisis Center and Salvation Army so they could be used again.
Donate, Don't Dump will close down this Saturday at 12:30 p.m.
And you know, Ethan, it might be finals week, but this good weather is putting me in a good mood anyway.
Exactly. It's amazing seeing everyone just hang out on the Pentacrest. I love this time of year,
nice.
weather-wise, that is. But let's toss it over to Gus in the weather studio with more.
Thanks, guys. Looks like we're hearing a lot less of how's finals going and more of where's the beach. Finals are ending and we head into today with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures are reaching a high of 80 degrees and lower to 52 degrees later tonight. Now let's take a look at our extended forecast. Friday we will experience rainfalls as temperatures range from the lower 70s to the lower 50s. They say some people feel the rain and others just get wet. I'd agree if Saturday didn't bring thunderstorms. Temperatures on graduation day will range from the upper 60s to the lower 50s. Sunday will be cloudy as temperatures begin in the lower 70s and descend to the mid 50s. Monday will be mostly sunny with isolated thunderstorms. Temperatures will range from the upper 70s to the lower 60s. Finally, Tuesday will be partly cloudy as we feel a high of the upper 80s and lower to the lower 60s. Well, that's all I have for you in the weather studio. Enjoy your summer. Ethan, Kaylin, back to you.
And police have found Sarah Flournoy, the Iowa City girl who went missing last night. She was found early this morning near her residence. My bad, sorry for the technical difficulties. One UI Finals event scheduled for yesterday left students feeling a little disappointed. UI paused planned to bring therapy dogs to the IMU to relieve students from finals week stress, but they never showed up, leaving a room full of disappointed students.
Kind of looking forward to spending a little bit of time with dogs. I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't show up because didn't make a little bit of time out of my day for this, but it's whatever.
UI Paws declined to comment on the mishap.
Iowa hunters could see more restrictions on assault rifles in the near future. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources, or DNR, proposed a new rule that would limit the amount of ammo hunters could keep in their guns to 6 rounds. The Iowa Firearm Coalition said this would ban AR pistols. There are other states that already have laws like this one in place, including Nebraska.
In May, Iowa City celebrates Bicycling Month by honoring National Bike Month. For 30 years, Johnson County dedicated a week in May to Bike to Work Week. But last year, they decided there were too many events to limit the celebration to just 1 week. This year, Johnson County is hosting over 24 events to promote cycling. The events range from fun rides to competitive races and are open to all ages and skill levels. To learn more about the featured events, visit thinkbicycles.org.
And you know, as the school year is winding down, I guess so is Iowa baseball, and they've had quite a season.
Exactly. I've really enjoyed this season, and I actually hear that we get a little peek into their music interests.
Yes, that's right.
But let's toss it over to Nicole in the sports studio with more.
Yeah, guys, the baseball team is entering their final stretch of their season. So before this year comes to an end, we wanted to know a little bit more about the players and more specifically their walk-up songs. With Lucy Rodine.
I'm sure a lot of people just think you find a song and pick it, but I probably listen to 15 different songs throughout the year, trying to figure out which one to go with. I know when you hear it, like you got to replay it for a second and then pause it, and then like imagine yourself walking up to the plate and then click play, and then you hear the song or the part of the song that you want to go up there to. And
a lot of guys honestly start like kind of in the fall. They're like, oh, like this will be a cool walk-up song to use in the spring. Like then they forget about it. Come January, like newer songs kind of release, and you're sitting there, you're like, man, like I really gotta think of one.
I just hope they pick good songs because I have to listen to them all year.
Mitch Bo's got a really good one, and obviously I think my walk-up song's up there for sure.
think Tyler Cropley does. Yeah, it's got a good beat to it. I'm probably going to go with Robert Newstrom. Rock Boys was one of my favorite songs by Jay-Z growing up.
Me. No, I like Zoe's. It's kind of funny.
By far me. No competition. It's me.
Well, we just heard from some of the team on who has their favorite walk-up song this season, but now it's time to hear from me on my choice. And as you can probably tell by my sunburn, I spent a lot of time out at Dwayne Banks, so I feel like I sort of deserve a say too. So coming in at the number 5 spot is Chris Whalen with Fire by Louie and the Child. At number 4, I have my sleeper pick with Matt Hoig and Rainy Day in Autumn by Unified Highway. In the 3rd spot, I have Lorenzo Elon with God's Plan by Drake. At number 2, I have Tyler Cropley with By the World by Mike Will Made It, featuring Future and Kendrick Lamar. And at the number 1 spot, it was an easy call with Mitchell Bowe and Return of Them Back by Mark Morrison. So all this talk of walk-up songs kind of inspired me to decide what my walk-up song would be, and it was a tough call between Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, You Make My Dreams by Hall & Oates, and Everlong by the Foo Fighters. But at the end of the day, I chose Walkie Talkie Man by Stereogram as my walk-up song. So Rick Heller, if you ever need me to DH or do anything for your guys, I am prepared. But speaking of coach, I also asked his players what they think their head coach's walk-up song would be. Take a listen.
Definitely hip hop. I can see Coach Heller get some hip hop.
I'm a country fan, so I mean, like real country.
Probably something by Johnny Cash.
He's a Johnny Cash guy. He's a Willie Nelson guy. I can't say I know too many songs by either of those artists.
Waylon Jennings or Willie Nelson or Johnny Cash or George Jones.
I'll probably give him a country song, so I'll go with anything Chris Stapleton.
I don't know. I like Chris Stapleton and I like Jamie Johnson. I would definitely put a lot of thought into it so that it was something that was my personality.
Well, I have to say that Lorenzo was just a little off on his guess for Coach Heller's song. And now moving on to men's gymnastics, consistent success is key for any level of sport. And Iowa's men's gymnastics head coach J.D. Reeve has seen just on that. DITV sports reporter Casey Lindekrantz has the story.
For 7 seasons now, Coach J.D. Reeve has continued the Gym Hawks' tradition of excellence both in and out of meets. Much of what he can attribute that to is an effective coaching philosophy.
The sport is the platform for teaching them how to be just great young men. Gymnastics is very hard, it's very time consuming, it's something they've been doing their entire lives, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to help them when they reach their peak of gymnastics and also use that as they're transitioning honestly into adulthood and potentially a professional career.
I talked with many members of the team, and from the freshmen to the seniors, they all had the same thing to say. Coach Reeve is a great coach. What wasn't the same, however, was the reasons for why Coach Reeve is great at what he does.
His leadership style, he's always there to talk to us, make sure that we're on the right track, reassure us with anything that's going on. He doesn't do it in this, yelling. He's not yelling at you. He sincerely cares about how you're doing as a student as well as being an athlete.
His demand and his push for you, he always, whatever you set your expectation, he expects even more out of you, and I think that's something really good because a lot of us may not have the highest expectations, but he pushes us to exceed them.
Being outstanding lends itself to winning awards and championships, and while those bring good memories, they aren't what matter most to Coach Reeve.
A guy calling you 5 years later after you graduated and being like, thank you. Thank you for teaching me those lessons, and it means so much to hear that whether they figure it out while they're here or they figure it out 5 years after they graduate, that they took something that I provided them or something that I taught them, and it helped shape who they are.
Coach Reeve and the Gym Hawks are already looking to next season as they started practicing only a few weeks following the NCAA championships in Chicago. Reporting from the Fieldhouse, this is Casey Lindekrantz, DITV Sports.
Well, guys, that's all I have for you today in the sports studio. Guys at the desk, back to you.
That's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our final DITV News broadcast of the semester. I'm Kaylin Cluck.
And for my very last show, I'm Ethan Gutstein. Stay classy, Iowa City, and have a great end of finals week.